Coming from an HP laptop that was quite literally falling apart, the ThinkPad T420 is a massive upgrade for me. The T420 is also my first ThinkPad in general. Back in October, I bought it off of Facebook Marketplace for around $80 USD, which is probably a mistake, and I'll get into that later. You might think I'm crazy, calling this machine an upgrade, but there's a good reason for that. My HP suffered from something we like to call hinge problem. It's an issue that plagues many of HP's cheaper built laptops. Originally, this was my main computer that I did everything on, the computer that kickstarted my YouTube journey. Then, whenever I got my current main laptop, that became the laptop I would take to school. Another issue I had with this machine was, it's just too big. It would always be a chore to fit it into my bag. And then when I managed to fit it in, it would always damage the edges of the bag because it's constantly straining the fabric. This HP laptop has an 8th gen quad-core Intel Core i3 8145U at this gigahertz that I cannot remember, 16 gigabytes of RAM, though that is upgraded from 8 gigabytes, integrated Intel graphics, and a 1600 by 900 display. Oh, and did I mention it was 17 inches? When it was my main machine, however, I always cursed this thing. It was so difficult for me to edit my videos on this machine and play games, just in general. Using it was kind of a pain for what I did. However, when it became my secondary machine, when I got my current device, it was pretty great at what I did use it for: graphic design, thumbnail creation, script writing, and of course schoolwork. What it wasn't amazing at though is just how much fucking space it took up. Here's a photo of it on one of my school's desks, and here's a photo of the T420 on one of my school's desks. See the pan? From the end of 2022 to the later part of 2024, this was my primary off-setup device, at least until I acquired some money. In October, during a visit from my aunt, she gave me some money, $100 as a matter of fact, and I knew that if I let this money sit and I end up spending it on food or something, I won't be getting a better laptop for a long time. So it was off to the internet I go and search for a laptop. I was stuck between a late 2012 MacBook Pro and a ThinkPad T420, both the same price. I ended up going with the latter, which in retrospect is kind of a regret. I should have tried to find a better listing, and you'll find out why. I went with the T420 because I've always wanted to try the classic 7-row keyboard people in the ThinkPad community always talk about, along with the general design of the laptop, which I love, and it's 2nd gen, meaning I'll be able to run whatever classic Windows version I want. After about a week or so, the computer arrived, and it was everything I ever wanted, sort of. Here's a picture I took after I took it out of its cardboard prison, and here it is after I set it all up with all my stuff. And it wasn't until I realized that the trackpad has issues. Basically, on every startup, there's a high chance for the trackpad and laptop to just simply not work. It's not a driver problem, it's quite literally the computer not recognizing it, period. I've tried many drivers I found across the internet. This happens across all operating systems I've tried, including Linux, multiple versions of Windows. I've tried researching for fixes on the internet, and I just can't find one. It's most likely a hardware issue. Whatever, not a huge deal breaker. I can just use the track point. Other than these issues though, it's been great. The keyboard is absolutely amazing to type on, one of the best keyboards I've ever used. Performance? Sure, for a 2nd gen laptop from 2011, it isn't the best, at least to what most people's version of best is. But it definitely fits, it personally fits my needs very well. That 2nd gen i5 performs exceptionally well. It really surprised me how well it runs. Hey, remember that issue I hinted about at the beginning of the episode? It's an issue that is, as far as I'm aware, a bit common when buying laptops secondhand, especially ThinkPads. The BIOS is supervisor password locked. Yep, locked. What I should have done was return the laptop immediately, but you know what my first thought was? My first thought was, man, I can deal with this, no biggie. And sure, I probably wouldn't be spending this much time on this if it wasn't for the fact that USB booting was disabled and I cannot do anything about it. Yep. Installing different operating systems to this machine is pretty annoying, either requiring me to take the whole SSD out, put it into my hard drive adapter and install it from a VM, or install it from another laptop entirely. And then I put it back into the laptop and continue setup from there. Or I'm just cooked. I want to try Windows XP on this machine, but I can't, because in order to get that operating system to work fine, you have to install it directly on the machine, or else it's just cooked. You get 7B. It is possible for me to remove the password, but it's a bit tricky, and from my couple of attempts at trying to do so, I wasn't really able to succeed. What you have to do is take the battery out, take off the palm rest, and short out this pin on the BIOS chip. And then you have to short out this pin as soon as the computer boots up. When I tried to do this whenever I acquired the laptop, it caused the laptop to freak out and not really respond to anything for like around 10 minutes or so. It wouldn't boot properly, it wouldn't really do anything other than show a few lights and sometimes turn the backlight on. Of course, in the end, it did eventually fix itself and boot properly, but man, that was scary. I thought I destroyed it. Now, this is just me personally, but I'd rather not short circuit something else and brick a device that I use basically daily over something that isn't really hindering my general usage of the device anyways, though it is still pretty annoying, and I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass in the long run. And well, there you have it. A simple little video on my experience with one of Lenovo's last classic ThinkPads. It may not have the best specifications for use in 2025, but it fits my use cases perfectly. Well, you've made it to the credits. Isn't that nice? I originally wanted this video to be so much longer until I realized what really else is there for me to talk about the ThinkPad T420. I'm not particularly that creative when coming up with things to talk about, so that's all I got. Thanks for watching, comment, like, and sub, and goodbye. This is worse than when I last saw it, bro. Oh my god.